Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we have a big time update for Brian Robinson, man. We have some trade value updates. We have a trade market update. Tuesday and Wednesday, there was a lot of information about Brian Robinson put out there from a lot of different sources. I'm gonna preface this like I try to remember to do with all of my videos that include any type of sources, reports, rumors, or whatever. You believe whatever you want to believe. Take anything with a grain of salt. I'm just letting you know all of the information that's out there. It's up to you whether to believe it or not. I'm here to dive into whether it makes sense or if it doesn't, and just really to go down the timeline, because a lot of this we're going to go in chronological order as well, just to break down everything and catch you up on anything that has been said or updated about Brian Robinson the past few days. Basically, ever since after that preseason game against the Bengals Monday night, I'm going to catch you up on everything that's happened since then going into Thursday morning. And then also the Commanders made 2 roster moves. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But before we dive into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Appreciate y'all for supporting every video, watching the videos all the way through. And just to let you know, even though we sold out the Commanders Kings live show in person that's going down Sunday, August 24th at the Crystal City Sports Pub, if you want to donate and still support, we will shout you out during the live show. If you wanted to donate directly to the same exact link that you get the tickets, you can go and donate. There's different tiers and everything like that. It's amazing. So definitely, if you still want to find a way to support even though you can't make it, definitely go do that. Really appreciate you. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so I literally went into Wednesday thinking, like I've already talked about in previous videos, does this guy really even have a market? I mean, what trade value could you get for this guy? I even joked about, like, I mean, what's the best we can get? A 1942 12th round pick for him or something like that? I mean, just, again, the factors that his age, you know, I think he's 26 right now, and that's 26 is young for a lot of positions, but running back is the most devalued position, not only in the NFL, but in all of sports. Only as a running back is being 26 old, especially with all of the carries and mileage that they've dealt with, usually stacking up since back in college through what they've done so far in the NFL. And then on top of that, he's going into the final year of his contract. Trading anybody in the final year of their contract always diminishes their value, because the team basically knows that we're essentially trading for a rental unless they already have a deal in place. But even then, they're probably not going to tell the team that they're trying to get the player from. They're just going to trade for him and then do the deal afterwards or whatever. So, I mean, his trade value is pretty much as low as it gets. It's the most devalued position in all of sports, let alone the NFL. He's going into the last year of his contract, which would diminish anybody's trade value, no matter how good they are. Because, I mean, even just the fact that, so we got to trade for him. He only has 1 year left on his deal, and now we got to pay for him. So even if the team knows that you're going to pay for him and you give him a big contract after you trade for him, it's still like, well, man, I got to pay this guy too. I got to trade for him, give you draft picks or players or whatever, and I still got to pay him too. So I went into Wednesday thinking, man, it just can't be much trade value out there for him realistically. But wait, now we're starting to hear that Brian Robinson actually has trade value. Do the Commanders actually probably have a chance of actually getting something in return for B.Rob and not having to cut him? Let's dive into it. Well, Ian Rappaport was on NFL Network. He said the Commanders will likely move on from Brian Robinson, and he announced that it's a rare starting running back available. And he did a full 43-second clip breaking down the whole situation. And he even said in this clip, teams are questioning why he's available, which means that teams think that he actually is a good running back, and they're confused, like, what's wrong? Is there something off the field? There's no way it's his talent. So a lot of teams out there probably value him more than even we do, especially as a fan base. A lot of this fan base, like I said, I like Brian Robinson. I don't think it's worth trading him, but a lot of this fan base doesn't agree with that, and so they're completely downplaying him. They've been downplaying him for a few years now. I'm not going to sit here and act like Brian Robinson is Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley, any of those guys, but he's a starting level running back in the NFL. So there are teams out there, especially teams that may have some injuries to the running back room, where they're just wondering, like, what happened? How did this situation get to this point where the Commanders are willing to trade this guy and we feel like he's a good running back? And then Mike Garafolo also went on NFL Network and said, there's certainly interest in Commanders running back Brian Robinson from other teams, as they're asking questions about why he even fell out of favor in Washington and what kind of fit he may be for each particular team that's interested. So there is apparently a market out there. Is it going to lead to us being able to trade him for a 7th or even a 6th round pick or something like that? Doubt it. We'll see. Again, you're going to see with some of this information. Again, I'm going in chronological order, so I doubted it at this moment. But some of this information you're going to hear later, you're like, wait a minute. Maybe we actually will get something for Brian Robinson. Again, Miami Dolphins were a team that were named. We'll get there soon. But again, at the end of the day, what is stopping teams from just waiting until we have to cut them? NFL teams already know that if we can't trade them, the relationship is damaged enough to where we will have to cut them before the week 1 game against the New York Giants anyway. So who would be the one team, why would you be the one team that would trade for him when you could just sign him without having to give up any draft capital? I mean, the relationship is so bad that Adam Peters has already removed Brian Robinson's locker. Like, it's gotten to that point. He's never practicing or playing for us ever again, even if we can't find a suitable trade partner. And we could really just use that roster spot before we cut to our final 53-man roster next week to use it on another position group. So why would a team jump the gun and give up valuable draft capital when they could just wait until the Commanders just end up having to cut him anyway, and then you just sign Brian Robinson after he's available? I mean, the only reason I can think that a team would maybe even consider trading for Brian Robinson, again, this is before some of the stuff that I heard Thursday. This is me thinking on Wednesday from what I knew at that point. Because again, there's interest in them, but how much? Is it just interest like we're just waiting to sit around and then once they cut them, then we'll go get them? Not enough interest to where we're willing to trade draft picks for them and type of stuff like that. But the only reason if a team would even consider trading for him, in my opinion, is that if his interest around the NFL is just that high. And I wasn't getting that feeling on Wednesday. Thursday, slightly different story. Again, we'll get there. And you just have to, I mean, if you're trading for him, you have to feel like the only way that you can get him is if you trade for him, because you feel like other teams may offer more money than you, maybe offer a larger role, something like that. And then and only then can I see somebody maybe giving up like a 7th round pick. But we'll see, because Adam Peters was able to get a 3rd round pick for Jahan Dotson. So at this point, I don't question anything when it comes to him. The trade value that he got in return for Sam Howell was way more than anybody expected. And definitely, hindsight 2020, it looks even crazier right now that we were able to get that from the Seahawks. And then the Jahan Dotson trade, I mean, that was just insane, man. I mean, he's so bad that the Eagles have already traded for Texans wide receiver John Mechie just 1 year later after trading a 3rd round pick, essentially, in value and all of that type of stuff for Jahan Dotson. I don't know how we got a 3rd round pick for a guy that bad, but shouts out to Adam Peters. So this guy somehow maximizes value in his trades. I mean, I thought we gave up less than what you would have to normally give up to acquire a guy like Laremy Tunsil, top 5 left tackle in the NFL. If you would have told me before we traded for Laremy Tunsil, if you would have asked me what would it take to get him, I immediately would have started with at least a single 1st round pick in the deal. I thought we got Deebo Samuel for slightly less than what we would end up getting them for. I thought we got Marshawn Lattimore for less than what we ended up getting them for. So I don't know, Adam Peters, I don't know how he's doing it. So when in doubt, even if you question Brian Robinson and his trade value because of who he is, hey, man, you may have to lean towards giving Adam Peters the benefit of the doubt on that one. And then also, then later on in the same day, Ian Rappaport said that the Commanders could even be willing to absorb some of Brian Robinson's salary in order to facilitate a trade. So the Commanders are clearly wanting to trade Brian Robinson, not just cut him, which any team would do. Any team, any natural brain GM that's not out of his mind or anything like that, of course the priority is to trade him, because why cut him for free if you can potentially get any draft pick for him? Even if it's a 7th round compensatory pick, we'll take whatever we can get at this point. And I love the fact that the Commanders are willing to even absorb some of his salary, which isn't a lot. You know, we'll pay him whatever money. Just, hey, give us a draft pick, man. Essentially, that would be like a trade of Brian Robinson and money for a draft pick, essentially. And hey, I'd be willing to do that. If somebody is somehow willing to give up a 7th round pick for Brian Robinson right now, last year of his deal, and all of the mileage that he already has with every season, he's always dealing with some type of injury after like 8-10 weeks into the season. Because the first 8-10 weeks, Brian Robinson's solid. It's after that he just starts to wear down. I mean, if there's a team willing to give up even a 7th, man, I'll start a GoFundMe to help a team pay for his contract. If the Commanders don't want to match it all the way, we'll fan raise some of the rest or something, man. A 7th round pick would be amazing at this point. But then going into Thursday, this is when things really kicked off. Going into Wednesday, my fault on all of that. Remember, I'm talking about Tuesday and Wednesday information. So anytime I said Wednesday, I think I meant Tuesday. Anytime I said Thursday, I meant Wednesday. So just run that back with that in mind. So now going into the next day, day 2 of all of the Brian Robinson updates that I'm giving you, basically, Polymarket Football came out and said that the Dolphins are reportedly very interested in a trade for Brian Robinson, as there is belief that A-Chain could miss multiple weeks of the season due to injury. So apparently the Dolphins, because of an injury, and like I hypothesized, if there's a team that's maybe even willing to give up any draft pick, even if it's late as a 7th, it has to be because they had an injury to the running back room. Nobody's running back room is just so bad, without injury included, that they feel like they need to trade draft picks for Brian Robinson. And again, I love Brian Robinson, but for the fact it's already laid out, and Brian, just him being a running back, you know what I'm saying? Is why would you give up picks if you could just wait to sign them afterwards? So a team would have to be desperate enough because there was an injury to their starting running back. And Brian Robinson, like I said, is a quality starting running back. I don't think he's an elite running back, but he is a starting caliber guy. I don't think he's just a bench warmer type of guy like a lot of the fan base says. So CBS injury analyst Marty Jaramillo expects Achane to be out 3 games minimum to start the Dolphins season. And you know, you got to win as many games early as you can, because the Dolphins do have some sort of an injury bug, along with, the Chargers are another team to have one of those. And so they may try to bring in Brian Robinson. They may be desperate to bring him in, because with A-Chain out, they want to win as many games early as possible, just in case that, the injury bug hits them again. And then maybe they, in the middle of the season, lose some games they had no business losing just purely because of injury. And then thank goodness we had Brian Robinson early in the season to help us get a few wins early on. And so the quote came from that injury analyst, quote, "If you're too aggressive with coming back, it can become a chronic problem, or even worse, exposing you to an Achilles tear. His injury risk is very high," unquote. And that's basically saying why Devon A-Chain more than likely will miss quite a few games in the beginning of the season, and there's no reason to try to rush him back, especially if you could just trade a really late round draft pick to go and acquire Brian Robinson. So apparently, there's a market out there. At the very least, there are reasons why the Dolphins would be interested. And again, this is coming from the Dolphins side of things. This is not like a Commanders reporter saying this or anybody just random out of nowhere. This is a Dolphins reporter basically suggesting, hey, y'all have an injury to your running back group. The Commanders over there have a running back that could start for you if just in case Devon A-Chain is really as hurt as it seems. So shouts out to that source right there. Again, that's coming from the Dolphins side. And then you had the Saints. I feel like they set the internet ablaze yesterday. Now, granted, there were a few trades that went down, but none crazier than what the Saints gave up to get wide receiver Devon Vele from the Denver Broncos, man. The wide receiver. The Saints gave up a 2026 4th round pick and a 2027 7th round pick to get that receiver, which is absolutely insane. That was one of the worst trades I've heard in recent memory, bro. Shouts out to the guy. Shouts out to Devon Vele. He's probably a good receiver with some talent and some potential, but that is insane, especially since, out of all teams in the NFL that has no business trading away draft picks right now and are in full rebuild mode, it's the Saints. So if you can get the Saints to come off a 4th round pick in this upcoming draft, along with the 7th round pick in the following draft, for anybody, especially a non-confirmed, dedicated, we know for a fact this guy's going to be a starter and an impactful player for us, maybe even a pro bowler type of guy. If it's not that, this is insane from the Saints side of things. Unless you're trading for a game changer, a franchise changer, I wouldn't be trading any draft picks if I'm the Saints, because you at the very least want to keep some of those draft picks just in case you want to trade up for a better player in the draft. But then again, they may be so bad this year that they're their first round pick may be #1 overall, and maybe they already feel like they have a quarterback in Tyler Shuck, but they may just go ahead and replace him with another quarterback. But either way, Warren Sharp said keep this in mind. There's a very real chance that Saints 4th round pick that they gave to the Denver Broncos ends up being the pick immediately after the 3rd round ends, because again, like I just said, the Saints may be that bad to where they end up with the worst record in the NFL, and they have the 1st overall pick, which means they'll have the 1st pick in every single round. So technically, that 4th round pick they gave up is going to feel like a 3rd round compensatory pick essentially. So Saints, what are y'all doing? The reason I'm bringing all of this up is that maybe if the Saints are in a given mood right now and are willing to be finessed right now, maybe we could take advantage of it, jump on the opportunity immediately, and get something from them as well for Brian Robinson. I mean, Alvin Kamara, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, Alvin Kamara can be the receiving back. Brian Robinson can be the total, the in between the tackles type of guy. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because like I said in the previous video, and like I said earlier today, I have no idea what we're going to potentially end up getting for Brian Robinson. Even if we do trade him, it's more than likely good. If we somehow get anything in return, I feel strongly that it's going to end up being just a 7th round pick, which I'll take again. I mean, especially since teams know that the relationship is so damaged that we're going to end up cutting them anyway, even if we can't find a suitable trade partner. Again, like I asked earlier, why would you even trade him? So if I'm interested in B.Rob, just wait. And unless you really want him and you're afraid that another team will scoop him up or offer him more money, or then you're willing to spend, or maybe even like a bigger role. Or how about not only like a bigger role or more carries, but how about the opportunity to play the Commanders very often and to get revenge against us, the Commanders? So maybe like the Cowboys or Giants, maybe they'd be a little bit more desperate because they know at the very least they're getting a very motivated version of Brian Robinson that's going to go out there and give it 110% every single carry, every single game against his former team. Because this isn't just a normal situation where a team lets you go or trades you and then you end up on a division rival. No, this one is like we're doing him dirty. We did him dirty. Brian Robinson has a lot of reason to be upset with us and to be seeking revenge. So don't let him end up on a team that even if it's not a division rival, if it's somebody that we play on our schedule, watch out, man. That's going to be the most passionate Brian Robinson you've probably ever seen running the ball. He's going to run as angry as possible, and which is crazy because Chris Russell said on the radio that he heard, or whatever sources he has, that the Commanders were already trying to move on from Brian Robinson, even going back as far as like going into the Lions playoff game. They were already like, yeah, we're kind of done with this guy, even before we got into the offseason. And the reason was because they felt like he didn't run aggressively enough. They felt like he wasn't decisive and aggressive with his vision and making decisions and things like that. So that would be crazy if we ended up trading him to a division rival, play him twice a year, and now he's running angry, because that was the problem they had with him. He didn't run angry enough, didn't run decisive enough. So I thought that was pretty ironic right there if that ends up happening. But now moving on to John Comm. Of course, the Commanders reporter, he updated everybody on the Brian Robinson situation. He gave an interesting quote. He said, quote, "If they don't trade him," as in Brian Robinson, "he's not going to be here. It's just a matter of when. I would certainly guess before the weekend that this thing is finalized," unquote. Now, he didn't specify whether it's a trade or a release, but just know we're going into Thursday morning right now. This thing will probably be wrapped up in the next couple of days, whatever the result ends up being, whether it's a trade, if it's a cut, whatever, because we're cutting down to final 53-man rosters very soon. And again, like I said earlier, we could definitely use that roster spot for another position group, especially since we already know he's not going to be here by week 1. So we may go ahead and cut him leading into the final 53-man roster cuts, which are in less than a week. So they're definitely trying to go ahead and get this thing going by the weekend. We saw a bunch of trades going down yesterday, as in Wednesday, August 20th. I was a little surprised that we didn't, we weren't one of them. But right now, teams are in like a phone call mood. They're in a negotiation mood right now. So we better be one of those teams that's really hustling the phones. And I'm hoping that we are. But even moving on from that, shouts out to Scott Abraham. He brought up the fact that the Washington Commanders returned to practice on Wednesday, and it was more so like a jog through at the team headquarters in Ashburn, Virginia, of course. Running back Brian Robinson was not on the field, of course. The team excused him from practice, which is probably just a nice way of saying, like, there's just no reason. He doesn't want to practice for us, and we don't necessarily even want him to come into practice, so we just, excuse absence, whatever. The Robinson situation is an interesting one, to say the least. The team is trying to find a trade partner for the running back after practice. 7 News and a lot of different Commanders reporters spoke to several of the running backs about Brian Robinson's future with the team. And so then, right here, shouts out to Ben Standig for taking this picture and pointing out the fact that this media scrum is not for Jaden, nor Bobby, nor Von Miller. This is for Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Like, this is how serious they are about getting some information about the whole Brian Robinson situation and how other running backs on the team feel about it. And so Bill, talking about Brian Robinson, said, B.Rob is definitely my dog, my friend on and off the field, and that's all I have to say about that, unquote. And I love how he answered that. He answered that as well as he possibly could, but I don't even understand why they even asked him about Brian Robinson. I understand asking him about his future in Washington as a running back and how excited he is to make the team and stuff like that, but what is he supposed to say about B. Robinson for real? Honestly, like, that felt like they were trying to bait to see if they could get him to slip up and say something that they could use in a headline. And you could tell that that's literally what they were doing, because they did the same exact thing to Chris Rodriguez. This is the media scrum that Chris Rodriguez had to deal with as well. So they were just going from running back to running back, asking questions about B.Rob, not about them, about their hopeful future of this year. Like, how many yards you think you're going to get this year? Are you excited about your expanded role now that B.Rob is gone? You could at least word it like that. But to straight up ask people about the Brian Robinson situation does seem a little bit weird, man. And with Chris Rodriguez, they even shaped it into the fact that, like, he's fighting for a roster spot, even though I think he's likely to make it, but we'll see. I mean, if you want to hear from Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt and Chris Rodriguez, here you go right here, back-to-back clips. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt's is 22 seconds, and then Chris Rodriguez is 44 seconds. So if you want to skip this, just go ahead like a little over a minute.
Yeah, that's what I got.
And I know you and B.Rob seem to have developed a good relationship. We've seen you guys laughing a lot during camp. The possibility of him maybe not being on the team this season or being excused right now, how does that impact you getting ready for this year?
B.Rob, he's definitely my dog, my guy, on and off the field. I mean, he's taught me a lot. That's all I'm saying.
Chris, what's been the reaction from the running back room with the current B.Rob situation?
Yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're all focusing on ourselves. We're all trying to make the team. The more, you know, energy that we focus into, you know, not knowing what's going to happen, you know, we're really not being our best self. So, you know, I think everybody in the room are just focusing on yourself right now and trying to be a better player.
To that point, you know, obviously you're competing to try to make this 53-man roster, right?
Sure.
So how do you approach these next couple of practices, this preseason game, knowing that you're fighting for a roster spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just believing in myself, you know, going out there playing full speed, doing what I was doing. You know, I don't think you need to change anything. Don't need to be a Superman. You know, I'm still human. I still got to go out there and just compete at the end of the day.
What does this say?
Again, I feel like they were trying to bait either of those two guys into saying something that was worthy of a headline to kind of get them in trouble with the rest of the team or something like that. I'm happy that they did a good job of answering the questions and dodging anything controversial. Shouts out to those guys. And then they even interviewed Austin Eckler. And he said, you can't always control the name of the front of your jersey, but you can always represent the name on the back. It can control what you can control. I love that quote from him, man. I felt like that was a very wise quote. You could tell who's the older of the three running backs just based off of what they said compared to what he said. I felt like all of them did a good job, but Austin Eckler sounded like the veteran when he answered that question. And so now we got to think about, even just Brian Robinson wise, with him gone, who's going to wear number 8? Like, that's prime real estate jersey number right there. A single-digit jersey? Maybe Ja'Cory go ahead and switches from 32 to 8, because I think he'll look faster in 8. I think 32 is like a kind of a bigger, doesn't look as fast number. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it, because we are expecting him to be like a very pivotal player on this team as far as like the positive impact he'll have on our success, especially on offense. And so not even just beyond the fact that like number 8 sounds like any single digit number seems like it would be for a fast guy, and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt is fast. But also, I just feel like single-digit numbers are for like the bigger playmakers on the team. I feel like Deebo Samuel, perfect. Jaden Daniels, perfect. I feel like our best players, a lot of the times, should be, especially if they're a skill position player like a running back or a wide receiver. I think single digits is strictly reserved for guys that are really, really impactful. Like Pro Bowl level, defenses have to literally strategize against this guy. They have to game plan against this guy, prepare specifically for this guy. I feel like a single-digit number would fit Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt very well for that reason, but we'll see, man. Maybe nobody ends up with it, and then maybe we wait until next offseason when we bring in somebody else and they take the number 8. Who knows? But I'm just letting you know right now, number 8 is up for grabs. And then also, we had 2 roster moves, just to let you know. Julian Good-Jones ended up leaving Monday night's game against the Bengals with an injury, and then now, officially, he has been waived with an injury settlement, injury designation. So technically, the Commanders released cornerback Kayvon Seymour from the injury reserve with an injury settlement, and then they waived Julian Good-Jones with the injury designation. And Good-Jones will revert to the injured reserve once he passes through waivers unclaimed, which I'm pretty sure he will. So I'm just assuming very soon he'll end up on the injured reserve. Now, I thought it was interesting because, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like he was just like this super talented, super high ceiling potential type of guy. But Cliff Kingsbury was getting creative in that Bengals game where Julian Good-Jones were out. I don't remember ever seeing him take center snaps before. He was taking them in that game. And then Michael Dieter is the backup center to Tyler Biadasz. We saw him start at center for a couple of games for us last year because of the injuries that Tyler Biadasz suffered. And then Cliff Kingsbury had him at guard. So he kind of experimented to see, okay, Julian Good-Jones, Michael Dieter, y'all switch spots. And I'm just interested to see what comes out of it. And so you could just kind of tell, like I warned y'all with Brian Robinson weeks ago when he was fielding punts, once a team starts to try to find anything that you can possibly do, can you just contribute something? You know what I'm saying? Your typical role, we're not feeling it. So let's just try to find something for you to do, man. Some side quests or something. And I feel like that Julian Good-Jones playing some center out there in a preseason game was kind of like the same thing right there, where it's like, well, you're not a good guard. I mean, we don't think you'll be a good center, but let's at least try you at center and at least give you the opportunity. And I feel like, honestly, the Josh Johnson fumble that happened, I feel like that was more so Josh Johnson just didn't catch it. I don't feel like Julian Good-Jones really overthrew it that much with the snap to him. But still, whatever it was, I mean, it wasn't good enough already, and then he got hurt as well, so I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he comes back next offseason and is able to compete, because there is some talent there, but we'll see what happens. And then Kayvon Seymour, man, he's been around for a minute. He's 31 years old. He was a 6th-round pick out of USC by the Bills in the 2016 draft. I mean, he spent the entire 2018 season on the injured reserve with the Panthers. He's definitely had, like, some seasons where he's had a lot of injuries and things like that. And then most recently with the Commanders, we ended up signing him mid-September of last season. And last year he appeared in 3 games and recorded 2 tackles. So he's a guy that's like played on Sundays. But again, we've officially removed him from our injured reserve with an injury settlement. So now he's free to sign with whoever, whenever, if anybody wants him or anything like that. Hopefully he catches on to another roster heading into this 3rd and final preseason game, so that maybe he can show what he can do for a team and latch on to a team before this regular season gets going. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. If you made it this far in the video, you're still watching me and hearing me, salute to you. Really appreciate you for that. Personally, make sure you leave a like on the way out, and of course let me know in the comment section how you feel about this whole B.Rob situation. Do you think that there's any chance that we can end up giving away Brian Robinson for any draft capital at all? And I'm not even just talking about a pick swap. Like, I don't want to swap 6th-round picks or something like that. I'm talking about, can we just flat out get a draft pick in return for Brian Robinson? Let me know why or why not, and let me know what teams out there do you think he could ultimately end up landing on, whether we trade him or cut him, because the Dolphins definitely seem like a prime candidate with the injury to Devon A-Chain. But let me know if there are any other teams out there that you believe it could happen. So really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later with another video. Leave a like on the way out. I'm out.